All right, here we go. Today we have the former AEW wrestling champion, and as of last night, the #1 contender for the title, Swerve Strickland.
What's
Welcome
going
to
on?
Vlad TV.
Man, like I've been watching these drum sets in the back of the set for like, I say like 15 years.
Wow.
Like your stuff was like what I was watching when I was on the road, like going to all these indie shows, getting like $50, $25, and like doing these 8-hour drives and stuff. Like this is what I was watching and like learning so much. And like a lot of this content is what helped me like really come up with stuff to like put in the ring and put towards like what I do on television. So this is a huge honor, full circle moment for me.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
that means
sir.
a lot.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
means
for
a
sure.
lot. Well, it's your first time here.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yep. Oh God.
Born in Tacoma, Washington.
Yes.
Okay. And your dad was in the military.
Yep. Born in Tacoma, Washington. My mom was like going around doing like the some part of the service. I believe it was like, I forget what she said it was, but my dad was Army, like full on Army, and they met somewhere on the West Coast, but then they ended up again relocating in Tacoma, and that's where I was born. And 2 months after that, I moved all the way to Germany, and I lived in Frankfurt and Hanau and Büdingen. All the way till I was like 8 years old. And then we were living on American Army base and stuff out there. So like I wasn't really able to like be rooted in Tacoma until I started coming back for wrestling purposes. And then like that was until I was like 24, 25.
Well, after Germany, you moved back to the U.S. to Mount Joy, Pennsylvania?
Yep. I moved to York, Pennsylvania. And that's where I like went to a lot of different schools, middle schools and stuff. Moved around a lot. We went to Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, and then we came back to Pennsylvania, and that's where I graduated, Lancaster County, at a Donegal High School.
Okay, so your dad's in the military, but you know you're your own independent person.
Yeah.
Are you a fairly good kid? Is your dad like a real like harsh disciplinarian, or are you messing around and getting in trouble during high school and earlier?
No, I didn't really like have a lot of issues like that. I didn't have a hard coming up. You know, it was like I had parents that were married in the military. We were like very like financially well. My mom had an insurance business that she was doing. My dad was like high ranked in the military at the time, and he was like one of the head chefs. And so we were living really good. And then like coming back to the States is where kind of things like got like a little messy in the marriage and stuff, because like family gets involved, and we're a family that's like really well off, and then like family is just, we got really messy and stuff, so they end up splitting around like when I was like 10, 12 years old, around that time. But my dad, he wasn't hard. He had like a lot of soft spots too. Like he really cared for me and my older sister, but that was his stepdaughter at the time. But like, yeah, it's like he was a little stern in certain ways, but I wouldn't say he was like ever like strict and like I had to do this. I had to fold my bed with my sheets like this and like, or be in the house at this time. And like, no, they were very lenient parents and stuff. And so it was because they would like have parties and all that. And they weren't like strict on like how many friends can you have over. No, we were like, everybody come over, because everybody's going over to their house. Like the doors were unlocked and stuff at night. Kids would like just come in like, so it was a very loose household, which was good. But when like he had to put the hammer down and stuff, like he did. But I feel like the discipline came with sports. Sports is where he was like, no, get up, do it again. I'm gonna throw the ball harder at you. We're trying to get me to like learn how to catch a proper football, you know. And he's like, don't catch it with your body, catch it with your hands. And he would like make it throw harder. I'm like 6, 7 years old, catching bullet passes from a grown adult, you know, like getting bruises on my arms and chest and stuff. So that's where I would say he was difficult and a little stern and strict. It was just like when it came to competition.
Okay, so you graduate high school, and 2 weeks later, you join the military.
Yeah.
Was that always the plan?
No, it was like that became my mom's goal for me, because my mom was one of 5, and there's 3 sisters, 2 brothers, and I always felt like she saw me and like how her brothers were, because both my uncles, they had all the potential in the world. Like high school like record setters in sports, and track and field and basketball, still like record stand to this day in York High, William Penn. And they had all this potential in the world, but they got mixed up with the wrong women. They had the kids. Some got on drugs, some got on whatever it was, and it got messy, and all that potential just kind of faded. Like they were supposed to be like world-known athletes and stuff. And so I think she saw that in me, and she made sure like, no, you can have a girlfriend, but you're going to do this. You can have this, but you're going to do this. So she always made sure I was like as soon as I graduated, nope, ship me off, get out of there.
Okay, but why not college?
I ended up coming back to like go to ITT Tech and go into for drafting and design. It was just something I was like, I really like. I went to a tech school, like one of the schools I went to in high school. One of them was a tech school, and I just like picked like going into drafting and design. I really became like, I really was interested in it. And then, so I was like, let me pick that back up when I come back from the military, since I had like the funding for it and tuition assistance. So I went ITT Tech in Richmond, Virginia, but wrestling was something I was like, I moved from PA when I came back and right down to Richmond, Virginia, and I found this place called Ground Zero Wrestling.
Yeah, and I want to get into all that.
Yeah. But like, but at the same time, back and forth, like it was like school and wrestling and all that stuff. But like college wise, it was just like I was in it, but I was like, that was calling me at the same time.
Okay, so you joined the military. Were you 17 or 18?
17.
At 17?
Signed up at 17.
Is that legal?
Yeah, at that time.
Okay.
That was like Bush administration, so everybody was getting in.
Okay.
So, but I couldn't, I turned 18 when I was already in basic training.
Okay.
I was already down there. So like as soon as like I graduated at like, I was 07. I was 17 years old. 2 weeks later, I'm on a flight down to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And that was like such an interesting thing because it was like a culture shock. And it was like, okay, can I do it or not? But then my dad, going back to like my dad's disciplinary thoughts, it's like, he's like, it's not going to last forever. Take the pain now and then you'll heal later and stuff. So I was like, okay. And then that just kept playing back in my head over and over again. At 17, that's when I'm learning to shave. I'm learning to write a will for myself if I die. You know, like how much money does my family get? I'm like, whoa, this is heavy shit I'm reading off, you know? And it's like your whole life is like looking ahead of you right now in these moments and stuff. And you're dealing with like, your bunks with like 40-year-old dudes or like 20-year-old dudes. And you're like 17, you're in this mix with all that. And it was the summertime, so like everybody's from graduating high school going to the army. Some people are like coming, like their only choice was either military or jail. So you're getting mixed with that in there too. And you gotta share this old open bay with like 60 people, 30 bunk beds. So you learn quick and you grow up quick, but also you connect with like all different like all different mindsets, all different cultures. Like people come from other countries, try to like become citizens and stuff. They go to the military. So you're just connecting and learning and stuff.
Okay. But then you had a baby at 18.
Yeah.
So you were already in the military.
Yes.
Okay. So what was that like to be a teenage dad?
It was scary. It was scary. And I like, even on this, I'll even admit I didn't handle it the right way. Like, cause I was scared. It was one of the moments I was like, man, I just want to even try to forget it was even happening. You know, as a kid, I wouldn't even say I was a man yet. I was still a kid. I was just like, man, it's not real. It's not happening. You're like, every picture she sends you of a test, you're like, nah, that's fake. That's this. You just try to play it and fake it like it's not real until reality hits you. It's like, wow, this is my child. You're in the hospital with her.
What was it, a serious relationship or?
It was the first high school sweetheart type deal. And she was older than me too. So she graduated.
How much older?
2 years. 2 years older than me. But she, like, at the time, like, she graduated high school and I'm still in high school. So you always felt like you having to, like, I got to be a man now. Like, I got to give her what she needs. I got to get money. I got to get this. I got to treat her better than, like, all the other guys that are out there that want her. Like, in the real world, I'm still in high school and I'm like, I don't have a driver's license. I don't have this. I don't have that. So it was like that constant, like, chase to try to appease all the time. So that messed with me mentally at a younger age too.
Well, but Was there a conversation about an abortion at that point? Because you guys
No.
are both essentially teens.
No, never. It was like,
I mean, I'm glad it didn't happen, but
Yeah.
I'm saying at the
Yeah.
time, that should have been a serious conversation, I think.
no, it was never came up in a conversation. Never talked about it. I don't ever think it was like ever discussed or even like, no, it was just trying to run away from the problem. And that's like something you can't run away from that. My mom, like, thank God for my mom. She like one of those like, I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna talk to her. This is a situation, y'all gonna work it out. I'm very fortunate and glad she did that early on. And then so like, all right, we can't butt heads all the time, but we still like did for several years until like things started like really clearing up and having understanding of who we are and the situation. And I didn't have a lot of money because I was still like doing military, like, but it was like drills. I was doing like 1 month drill weekends, so I was only getting like a check from that. But I was like working odd jobs and all that stuff to really provide. I was like, the one time my mom got me a job in a cemetery, and I was like,
In a cemetery.
yeah, I didn't see no bodies. I was in embalming and bodies and shit like that. It wasn't nothing crazy, but it was honestly like, it was just groundskeeper work, like making sure the cemetery looked nice, pick up trash, do this, lay some mulch down. It was like little menial work like that. And it was like, cool. That was a good job for me at like 18, 19 years old. And meanwhile, I started my training. So I was just like managing, getting a job, my daughter, military up in Pennsylvania from Richmond, which is like a 3 to 4 hour drive, starting my wrestling career. And then it was like, school, where does school land at any of this? There's no way.
Okay, was this around the time that you found groundbreaking wrestling?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, you just found a website one day and were like,
Yep.
okay, I'll try this.
Wrestling came before all of that. Before, honestly, it was like I came back to the military and I was sharing a room with one of my friends in high school up in Pennsylvania, and I was just like, man, we used to love wrestling. We used to do this shit in the backyard. We used to like play the game, create our characters. I've like 30 slots of like created characters and like make our stuff on the game, then go outside and actually do it, study, go to shows and all that stuff. We used to do all that stuff. And I was like, I think I can take this. We could actually do this. And everybody thought I was the athletic one in our group of friends. They're like, no, that's you, man. We can't do this. We can't. I was like, why not? I was like, why can't? I was just seeing like how everybody was feeling about it. I was like, I'm actually going to like take a chance. So I like called my mom. I left my job and I moved all the way down to Richmond, Virginia. I found this place called Ground Zero Wrestling. It was like 25 minutes away. And I was like, that's where I'm going to start this off.
Okay, so you start off there and they start training you?
Right away. I called like on a Sunday, and this guy, Dave McLeod, answered the phone. They were actually running a show. And he was like, hey, we're running a show right now, but you're free to come in on Tuesday. You can start your training, and I'll talk to you, and then we can get it started right there. I was like, okay. So like the clock was ticking. I was like, it's Tuesday. I'm gonna start my wrestling career. I'm gonna start this shit. And like my mom was like, oh, that's cool. This is gonna be a fun little activity for you to do. You know, and I was like, yeah. But I'm sitting here like, no, I want to be on pay-per-views. I want to do this. I want to do this. But my mom drove me, and everybody was starting training, running the ropes and running like circles and all these exercise warm-ups and all that stuff. Dave McLeod is like this bald-headed, like not too sure. He's like 5'9", 5'10", like kind of older gentleman, midsection, low, heavy, but he had like broad shoulders though. I was like, okay, you could tell a wrestler. You still have that older school wrestling body. Brought me into the back and like sat me down. It was like $3,000 for training, but he'll do monthly payments or every 2 weeks or whatever we can work out. My mom paid for my whole first month of training. She's like, after that, you're on your own, but I will start you here. I think my mom was just happy that like I wasn't on the street. She knew where I was going to be. She knew where my mind was going to be focused on. I wasn't like doing too much outside. I didn't have time to. It was just like either work a job, this, and my daughter. That's all I really had time for, and then the military. So I started and got in the ring, did the exercise with them, and then just started learning how to take falls and called bumps in the ring.
Okay, so then you hit the indie circuit.
Yeah.
And you did a whole bunch of stuff. Your first appearance was on NWA.
That was actually my first appearance was on Ground Zero. It was like I think my first match was like 6 months later after that first day.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and the
you're on-
NWA Fusion came like a couple years later.
Right, because you were on NWA, you were on East Coast Wrestling Federation, World Extreme Wrestling, Combat Zone Wrestling.
Yeah, all
That's
those.
kind of where you ended up for a while.
Yeah. Like it was like I was on these shows that were like so low rent you wouldn't even be able to track them online. Like some of them were gazebos and parks. Some of them I wrestled in the parking lot of a Walmart.
No, in the parking lot of a Walmart.
Like where they stack all the carts. They moved all that, and that's where they put the ring. So people are going like so. It's
How many people showed up at the Walmart parking lot?
whoever was going to shop. Like, that's how it
I mean, were
works.
they charging or like?
No, it was just like it was just putting on the
check
show
this out.
because we were just trying to get buzz, or we're trying to like to get like reps. You know, it felt very carnival. Like,
Correct.
like you're there to ride rides, but then there just happened to be a wrestling ring over there. So and that's like really the old school way of wrestling. Like we just went to see Queen of the Ring. That's out in theaters right now.
Yeah.
And a great movie. Shout out, like there's a lot of All Elite Wrestling and WWE wrestlers, women in the movie together, which is really beautiful to see. They show like back in 1940s and 50s, you're going to a carnival and it's just a ring and like step right up. You get 25 cents. You can wrestle this woman, Mildred Burke, right here in the middle of this ring. Ooh, any takers. I'm like, that's what I did. Like you just see that's really what it was. It was just and this is like 2008, 2009 doing this stuff. And it was like, but I took every opportunity as a chance to like, this is the time. This is the one I'm going to show out, and like they're going to recognize me. And then they're like, "Oh, that was a dud." And you're like, "Okay, this is the time. This is the one I want. This is the one. This is the one." And it was like, It was cool, but it was like, But like, I had that like young rich kids like childlike wonder every time I saw the ring, and I don't care where we were. Like we did wrestle in fairs too. Like rides are going on, and then people just walking by, and that's like it's very old school of like, can you draw a crowd? Can you get people to stop what they're doing and come to the ring to watch who you are? Why, if you have a microphone in your hand, can you bring people to you? It's like the art of like old school, like making music and rap, like people performing on the streets in Times Square, whatever your act was. If you could juggle, you could do this. It's all very parallels with each other. And wrestling was like, that was like my performance stage.
Okay, so you're jumping around these small productions and you're getting paid what, 25, 50, $100?
If at all.
If at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Then in 2014, you joined the Lucha Underground.
Yes. 2014. So like there's some gaps in there between that. Before that, it was like all the stuff that led up to that was like the independent circuit was like so different at that time compared to what it is now. It was like everybody was like, it was like a VOD watch these video on demand pay-per-views and stuff like that, or you had to just get a DVD. That was the only way to watch the shows. So whoever was selling the most DVDs at these vendors, like Smart Mark Video, Feinstein Video, or like all these like little vendors and like these conventions, which is why you do the conventions to try to get these DVDs and watch them, stuff, or go online and buy them. You had to be on those shows. That's what everybody was working for, to get on these promotions, to be on, have those knockout matches like, yo, this is the one. You have to watch Swerve Strickland versus Mike Bailey. You got to watch Swerve Strickland versus like Des Xavier. You got to watch Leo Rush versus, you had to start watching these guys, you know? And so that was the goal. You do all these stupid small indie shows to try to get enough money to get to the next show, to get enough money to get to the next show. Hopefully you can eat in between with the money that you had. But other than that, you're trying to like hawk t-shirts. You're trying to hawk like autographs, 8x10s, $20, $10. Oh, you don't want to buy? Here's $5. To get it, let it go for $5. Any type of little bit of money to get enough money to go to the next show, to get opportunity to make more money, you know? And all around, you're just trying to get to these big poppin' indie shows and then go overseas and do these tours. So I was going overseas back and forth to London. That's where WXW was, in Germany. Going over there, wrestling these bigger name talents on the indies, and then coming back, having that clout from that, bring that clout to the States. I'm like, oh, this is a world travel guy from over there. Now you can get bookings now your bookings spread out a little wider. You can get out of the East Coast rut. Now you can get to the Midwest a little bit. You can get down south in Florida. You get to Texas. Like everybody wanted to get to Cali, but Cali only had certain shows. But PWG, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, was like the big one. That was like the all stars, the best of every continent came to PWG. So 2014 called, and that was Lucha Underground. I did a match with Mike Bailey on CZW in Philly, and it was a banger. It was probably the best match on the show, and I hit up Conan. Conan is a great luchador from the 80s, 70s, 80s to 90s. He's the one that brought Rey Mysterio to the States in ECW. I met Conan one time, I believe, prior to that, and I sent him this match from Mike Bailey, and Lucha Underground was like being made. I think the first half of the first season was finished filming, and that was going on El Rey. So I was like, I need to get on this. I heard about it. Ricochet was already cast for it as the main character, and Ricochet was like, yo, you be dope for this show. So take that footage. Here's Conan's email or text or whatever. Send it to him. And then I send it to Conan. He's like, yo, like, where are you out of? Where are you based out of? I'm going to get you your information to Krista Joseph, who's the writer of Lucha Underground. And that was in Boyle Heights, Los Angeles, at the time where they would film it. And I was like, yeah, boom, send it to him. He was like, and then next thing you know, maybe it was a week out from their next taping, a week and a half. I got booked to go fly out to do Lucha Underground. And it was like a dark match. A dark match is a match that's untelevised before the actual filming of the show starts. So it's like you get some new guys, like you get some tryout matches in there. You get to work out like, all right, will they be a good team on TV? Can this be you just experiment a little bit as far as the bookers, you just see your talent. So I was one of the matches and I stood out and they liked me a lot. And then I signed that contract with Lucha Underground.
Okay. And you had 2 kids by this time?
Yes, Aaliyah. Yep. I met this other girl, Oriemi, at this one party, and we hit it off, and like apparently we were just like dating for a couple like months or so, and then next thing you know, baby number 2, and then that's where like a lot of clashing between mothers and responsibilities. This is like 2011. Yeah, and like so it was like a lot of that's where like a lot of friction happened between like who am I going to stay with, who am I going to be with, and who's the priority child. I'm like, I don't have priority child. Like I never, but they like, you know, it just got catty, got a little like aggressive. It became a battle. It never got into like a legal thing, which is I'm very fortunate for, like because they can really just ruin a lot of men. But I kept playing back into my mind early on when I was talking about with like seeing my uncles, it's like they never made it out of that hole of like mothers of kids, and that turned into drinking, having a drinking problem, that turned into drug problem to cope with it, and like dead end jobs, factories, and like staying in that for like 15 years. Next thing you know, your whole life goes by. So I just kept grinding it out. I stayed on the road. I like kept trying to make things work and stuff, and then eventually we did.
Okay, so now you're with the Lucha Underground.
Yep.
And you have a match with AR Fox.
Yeah.
ESPN called this one of the most brutal contests ever to be televised in professional wrestling.
The first one.
Yeah, I mean, you threw Fox into a bunch of barbed wire.
Yep.
And his whole back was a bloody mess.
Yes. There was a part of the match where like the barbed wire rips his skin off and it's laying on the mat. Just like it's like a jigsaw piece of skin, and it's like you can see it very well. I'll never forget that moment. When I was talking about like going up and down the indies and like making these territories in these cities, AR Fox was the guy, like doing all of it. He was like he was on the front of a lot of those DVDs, and so everybody's like, that's the guy you got to wrestle to get your name out there, because he was getting a lot of the looks. So eventually me and Fox linked up and it was like, hey man, I would like, let's do these matches or whatever. And then through certainly enough, like Philadelphia, we had actually St. Petersburg, Florida, St. Pete is when we had our first match. And that was like 2010. Then Philadelphia, then it went to like CZW and all over the place after that. So we had the chemistry there. Then when you get to Lucha Underground, you already have the chemistry, you all have the trust with each other, and y'all have like the rhythm to really perform. And then Lucha Underground created. He didn't come until like season 3, and he came in like and he was like, I wrote this character of this story about like my character because I just came in with a mask, and they call him, and I came up with the name Killshot, and they were like, because I was like Deadshot, like Deathstroke, DC nerd shit,
Right.
So I was like Killshot, that makes sense. And then I was like, I didn't have a background of the story, so season 1 ended, but we had this long like 6-month hiatus, and I started writing the character and started coming up with these premises. I'm like, what if he was a military? Because everybody was like ancient Aztecian, like this, like Lucha this. He was based off the something tribe, and like he was like the power of the Phoenix, the power of this thing. And then there was like death characters. I'm like, all right, what if I'm just a person? What if I'm just a real human being that can hurt and feel pain, and I don't have powers? I kind of gotta I got to deal with shit in real life, like, which was what literally how I was feeling in real life. I got to deal with shit. I don't have any of this shit to like really work. I have to like deal with stuff and problems. I get hurt. I got to recover, you know? And I also a Batman fan too. So I took a lot of like those aspects of Batman. Like, he's such a superhero because he's vulnerable. He's the only one in the Justice League that can get shot and he's dead, you know? But he's hanging with superheroes like of every galaxy.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me make that my character. And as a black character on the show, you don't see that at all. So I wrote this character. He ran away from the military, and that's why he wears a mask in Lucha Underground to hide that he's like, you know, he abandoned the military, which is like a criminal offense, you know. And so they loved the character so much, they brought AR Fox in as Dante Fox. He's the only one that actually knows who I am from the military. He's like, you left me for dead over there overseas. So right away, boom, like that's your rival instantly. And everybody seen it, understood it, they got it. And that's where the rivalry started happening, the matches, and it all accumulated to this match that we created called Hell of War. And that's 2 out of 3 falls match. But each match is a more dangerous stipulation. So the first match was just first blood. Whoever makes someone bleed, you get the victory. And people were like, oh, well, obviously Fox is going to be the one to bleed because he wears a mask. So I was like, they're going to expect that. Let's flip it. And you throw me through a pane of glass and my whole back just draws blood. So now they're like, oh, wow, we didn't see that coming, because they didn't at that time. And like on televised TV, you're not seeing that much blood or that way of being like cut up by glass in wrestling.
So you were cut up in that match?
Yes. Yeah. I still have scars on my back from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you agree to be thrown through a bunch of glass. He agrees to be thrown on some barbed wire.
Yeah.
You guys are actually agreeing to this beforehand.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
This almost reminds me of when I interviewed New Jack.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
I did a interaction with New Jack on a show in Philadelphia. He came in with a crutch, hit me in the gut, and he broke the crutch over my back. So R.I.P. New Jack.
Sounds very New Jackish right there.
Yeah, he actually gave me some great advice too.
Yeah, I mean, New Jack was constantly getting sliced in the forehead.
Yeah,
with like razor blades, and
his forehead looked like a chopping board, man.
Yeah, it looked crazy. Then that one, remember he took that one fall that was what, like 30 feet high or something. That just looked absolutely insane.
He raised the bar, and of this, and what that was not really being televised either. Those was just like independent shows,
DVDs. Basically.
It's the only way you could watch those. So I took a lot of like, I wouldn't say a lot, but like there was inspirations of like that style of violence that you couldn't tell if it was like, wait, this is entertaining and all, but this is like a little too far and real. And I was like, man, we're kind of missing that in like nationwide national TV. We're missing that a little bit. And I felt like that was the match that kind of brought that to the forefront a little bit, me and Fox.
Okay, because that happened in 2014?
That aired 2016. Like we filmed it in 2016, and it aired in 2017, and that's where the internet just went crazy about this match.
Okay, because in 2019, you got the deal with WWE.
Yeah,
is that from that match? You think?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was just like, and that was one of the things. It was like, get your name talked about as much as you can, And we went out there with a mission to just show that there's no way you can miss this. There's no way you like anybody anywhere can't talk about this, or if you talk about it, you like everybody knows exactly what that match you're talking about. They're like, oh, that match, yeah. And it was just one of the mixed blends of athleticism, lucha, actual storytelling, brutality. Like it mixed everything together, and it showcased like more of just like not just like crash wrestling, but like actual like story arcing with characters and meaning behind it. I always like when I'm in feuds and stories like that, I always like to make the villain more powerful or smarter than the hero, because that's where this arc comes in. That's where the story comes in. Like Green Goblin was way more powerful than Spider-Man for like a good portion of those movies. Doc Ock was smarter than Spider-Man. Venom is more stronger than Spider-Man. He's a bigger version of Spider-Man. Like Sabretooth is way more powerful than Wolverine, and he knows them longer. So like that's always where that clashing always works for me. So my whole intention was like, Fox comes in, he has to be better than me. He has to right away. And that's where it culminates to something so big like that. It takes all this, throwing him through barbed wire, me getting put through glass, him falling off of like a ledge and through all this glass. It took all that to beat him. So whether he wins or loses, he's still a made man, because it took all that to defeat this guy. And they understood the story. And then to audiences that never seen us before, now they know who we are. And if they don't know, they're going to go researching and telling a friend of a friend of a friend. And that's how you spread the name like that for like a WWE to call to be like, I've never heard of these guys, but I heard about what you've done. And like, your name has to be synonymous with that story.
Okay. So you go to WWE and you sign with NXT.
Yep.
Which is like the G League.
Yeah, it was the developmental of WWE. Yeah.
Right. You actually changed your name at this point.
Yeah. They were doing like, we had a whole crop of like indie talent that we were all coming up with. And we all got there like maybe 2 months ahead of time, or some people got like staggered in, but they blocked us in like one group. Like me, what's the name? Trevor Lee, ACH, Garza, who's still up there, Kushida, New Japan talent. We all kind of came in at the same time, or like earlier or later. Keith Lee came in a little bit earlier than me, a couple months earlier than me. I think Damian Priest was there for like a little bit, but we were all there like together. And then they were like, we're gonna do all name changes. Everybody started figuring out names and stuff. I came with Isaiah Swerve Scott because I'm a big Isaiah Rashad fan, and Travis Scott, which is funny enough, Travis Scott's doing what he's doing now. So as Isaiah Scott, but they allowed me to lease the name Swerve to them. So if I'm ever released or anything like that, I get Swerve back, and I could still continue making my money on that.
Right. And Swerve came from Big Sean?
Yep. Big Sean just on what's it called? Mercy in 2012. He was saying that on like, it was just a cool like ad lib for the song. And I was just like, yo, what if it was like Shane Swerve Strickland? Yeah, that feels cool, like a boxer nickname in the middle. So I just ran with Swerve Strickland for like 10, 15 years.
Okay, so now you're at WWE. And Triple H pretty much runs NXT.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And he is married to the daughter of Vince McMahon.
Yep.
And he's the chief content officer for WWE. So he's a big deal. On top of being a major wrestler.
Yeah,
right.
like that's aside from
aside
20,
from all that. Yeah,
like
aside
10,
from all
13
that.
title reigns.
Okay, but the two of you never really gelled.
I would say like he had a respect for me and he knew what I was capable of, but I always felt like he positioned me in a way that wouldn't overtake other talent. In a sense, it was like you can't have like I was drafted 3rd round, 4th round to a team or something like that. And if you put me on the field, I'm going to outshine the first rounder that you drafted, that you paid $20 million for. And I'm getting paid like $900,000 to be on that team. But if you play me, what do you do with the first rounder? So he positioned me in ways like that, where it's like, oh shoot, that was a great performance. I'm like, yeah, give me more. He's like, not yet. I'm like, oh, why is that? Why aren't you giving me more? And I would have conversations with him straight to his face. I would tell him this straight to his face now. But we still have a good relationship, like even still to this day. But I would be like, oh, I want to be one of your guys. What do I have to do to be one of your guys? 3 months later, have the same conversation again. I want to be one of your guys. Thank you for the opportunity, but I want to be one of your go-to guys. And then like after a while, it's like a year goes by and I'm like, what's stopping me from being one of your guys? And that's where he was like, I backed him into a corner. He's like, oh shit, he's figuring out my shit. Because he like Triple H is great, but he has a way of like wording things in a way that run you around to where you started the conversation. And I picked up on that. And now I stopped him from running around it again. And I looked him in his face. I'm like, what's stopping you? And he was like, you know what? Let's get you with Russo. I forget his first name. Get you at Russo. Get him a call. Start coming up with some stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. Because like at the time I like tore my meniscus. And so I was like out for like 4 to 6 weeks or whatever. And it's like, okay, I'm going to be off TV for a little bit. But when I'm coming back, I'm having a whole change. I didn't ask. I didn't go through creative like permission. I just did it. And he was like, and then I came in the one day and then Regal was just like, well, I like this. William Regal was just like, I love all this. This is really good. He's like, I wish I would have thought about this when I had my career. And I was like, well, thank you. Appreciate that. So I always knew, like the one day I knew I was getting like bullshitted around the PC was like when I was there for like 3 or 4 months and I got called to do 205 Live against Drew Gulak, who had the Cruiserweight Championship. 205 Live is a show that takes place after SmackDown. So after SmackDown, you see the Roman Reigns, you see all these big names. They had the boom, 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 boom clash SmackDown main events, and they close off SmackDown. Mm-hmm. Then they do like another show for the extra content on the WWE Network at the time. And it was 3 matches they had, and we were the last one. So we had to go last on that night in Miami after you've seen all the stars. And it was me and Drew Gulak. We went 18 minutes in the ring straight for the Cruiserweight Championship. Everybody's on their feet, going crazy. I have Swerve's house signs, like going after Roman. I have Swerve's house signs. They're not chanting "This is awesome." They're chanting "Let's go Swerve." They're actually rooting for me to win this title. I end up losing to Drew Gulak. Got great praise in the back coming afterwards. Charlotte, Bayley, Kofi, like all giving me crazy, like Samoa Joe. Everybody's giving me crazy praise. I come back to the PC and they're trying to teach you arm drags again. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that. They're trying to tell me how to entertain 400 people in NXT when I just entertained 6,000 in the stadium. I'm like, why are you trying to backtrack me? Because I already showcased what I can do in front of 6,000, which is, well, mind you, that's the end game to all this, right? The end game is to get me there of what this product is. Right? That's like you don't bring the guy from the G League and he drops 30 in the NBA and come back to practice back at the G League and it's like, let's put him on the bench. And he needs more development. I'm like, I just dropped 30 on Giannis. What are we doing? So that was the mindset I had, and it was like kind of too brash. It was too overthinking. It was too like, and that's where I kind of clashed with Triple H as far as like we didn't gel. I really gelled with Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was the one who was like, because he didn't have the full power. He was just like an advocate, and he was just like a partner to Triple H because he was more hands-on with the talent. And out of like all the coaches and all the people and the staff there, Triple H still had to go to the main roster and SmackDown and Raw and do a lot of these public appearances. He still had to do like the shareholders meetings and all that. So he couldn't be like there every day, but he was there pretty often. Shawn is the only one out of all those coaches that could really teach you how to be a top main event star. That's the only one there. So I'm like, that's who I need to get with. Why can't I get with him? I got pulled in to have a conversation with Matt Bloom. I tweeted something earlier in the week. I was like, something stupid. It was like a one-word thing. I was like, it was like invaluable. I'm like, something like that, invaluable or some shit like that. But I was getting pulled in there with Kane and Seaman to do my promotion. I'm like, so they were like, oh, you're here, just right here, just getting your promotion, going up in pay, all that. He's like, but I want to ask you, why'd you tweet that? Why would you feel like, this or whatever? I'm like, because that's how I fucking feel. Like, I'm not hiding my feelings about it. I know what I'm worth. I know what my value is. And I feel like y'all are kind of holding me back from reaching that. And I only got like another year and a half here until my contract's up. He's like, what does that mean? I was like, it means exactly what I mean. Like, I have a year and a half for y'all to like do something with me of merit, and then I'm loose, and then I'm let loose. And by that time, AEW already started. So we're going back and forth on Wednesday nights. So I'm like, so they were like, he was like, well, what are you looking for? What do you want to do? I was like, I want to get in Shawn Michaels' class. Well, he's not really doing classes right now. He's not really holding classes because he's so busy with the show. I was like, well, can I get a meeting with him? He was like, I mean, his office is right over there. Bet. I went over there. I found Shawn. I was like, hey, Shawn, do you mind if I do tape studies with you? Do you mind if I he's like, absolutely. I'm like, is that fucking easy? I've been here a year and a half, and I could have just walked up to his office. But that's those things, they don't give you those curriculums. That's not part of it. That's the game. They want that run around until you earn the sweat equity to be able to go over there to be like, oh, now you're worthy of talking to Shawn because you put in all this stuff.
Right. So you actually form Hit Row.
Yeah. And that happened because Shawn was in the meetings and we did the tape studies and stuff. And then now we did the tape studies. He finally understand who I was and the type of performer I am. So they're having meetings for TV the night before, and he's texting me. Okay, Trips is saying he wants to see this out of you. This is what he hasn't seen yet. I'm like, that's it? But they wouldn't tell you that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Bet. Me and Bronson Reed, next match, beat the hell out of each other. Boom, boom. He beats me. Boom. I come to the back. I look at Triple H to his eyes. I was like, am I one of your guys now? Straight to his face. He was like, oh yeah. I'm like, no. Okay, cool. I walk in and Shawn just slaps me on the belt like a proud coach. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. Because it felt like Shawn was rooting for me, and they have that. Shawn and Triple H have their talents. They have their guys, and you can see it on the show. It's like, that's a Triple H guy. That's a Shawn guy. That was where I was like kind of weaving into being the Shawn guy. Is like, okay, now I'm getting there. And we did Stand and Deliver. We did this 6-person gauntlet. I started first. I got eliminated last. That's 25 minutes straight of all these people in, and I'm keeping the match together. Stephanie McMahon comes to me in the back, and she's like, you are my favorite performer on this show. You are my favorite heel. And I was like, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Next thing you know, Hit Row magically becomes a group and a thing. So it was just like all these weird little cosigns had to happen in order for Hit Row to be formed to prop Isaiah Swerve Scott up to be a thing.
Well, right. Because then Hit Row wins NXT's North American title, and then you guys get bumped up to the actual WWE main show.
Yeah, we get drafted in SmackDown in October in Baltimore.
I mean, how did that feel to be a kid that would wrestle in his backyard and play video games to now being at the biggest wrestling league on the planet on the main show?
Yep. It was like, it was. I always have this chip on my shoulder. It was like, I know this sounds crazy, but I know I'm right. It's that kind of feeling like you have early on, like even like if you started Vlad TV, you had this vision for this product 20, 15, 30 years ago, however, and you talk about it and people look at you like you're crazy. People literally think like, there's no way you're going to accumulate all these relationships and do what you're about to do because it hasn't happened yet. And so it felt like all of the struggle, all of the going through the back and forth with the mothers of my kids, and like having to borrow money to buy baby formula, having to like sell video games and DVDs to make enough money to buy groceries and stuff. All these struggles of being on the road. Like, why are you going out there? Why are you doing this for like 8 to 10 years? It took to get to this point. I was like, because I knew and I was right about it, and I knew I could be the one to do it. And it just like it took like tunnel vision and blocking out so much doubt, so much negativity. And it was about people that cared about you, that didn't want to see you fail. But those are the people, that's the hardest people you have to block out. The people that really care about you. Because they don't want you to hurt, they don't want you to fall, and they don't want you to fail. But you have to fail. You have to feel that failure. You have to feel that gut punch sometimes, because that's what's going to start that engine inside of you. And that's what it felt like making it to SmackDown, you know, like meeting Vince and talking with him, and like going to the Titan Towers in Connecticut, talking with Laurinaitis, signing that contract. You know, I'm looking at like, damn, $300,000 a year for this shit. This is crazy.
That was your first contract?
Yeah, for SmackDown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens? So you get into the WWE main show, but then you get released by WWE.
Yeah, 4 weeks later.
4 weeks later.
On my sister's birthday.
What happened in those 4 weeks?
So coming up, I think there was like a contract dispute with the girl of the group, Brianna. That's speculative. I'm not sure if that's 100% true. Okay. Shout out Bri. She's still dope. She's still up there now. They brought her back. So something happened with that, which as soon as we got drafted, the following week we did a promo, and then she wasn't getting flight information to be at SmackDown. It just kind of disappeared. It was like, we all got ours. Where's yours? I didn't get mine yet. I'm like, oh. So we were all talking amongst each other like, no, we didn't get it. Like, it's getting closer and closer to the flight time. Like, where's Bri at? Like, I still don't have no flight. I still don't have anything. It just literally just got taken off. She got the flight and then it just went away, disappeared. And I was like, yo, what's going on? And we're on the flight. We're coming down and we start getting our notifications, and we're seeing all these releases happening. And I'm like, Ricochet's like right next to me on the other aisle. And he just looks at his phone, looks at me like, yo, everybody, all the talent is just looking at all their friends just getting fired. It's like a group of like 8 people just got fired that day. That whole year, I think they let go of 150 talents, like 150 talent and staff, because this was coming straight out of COVID too. And during that COVID year, like WWE had to like keep running. They worked something out with Florida, like the governor of Florida, that it's like I forget what the word for it was, but it could keep running through through COVID, like grocery stores, hospitals, police officers, WWE. I don't know how, but that's a necessity for survival in Florida. So we were able to run through, but we had to they lost a lot of money just to keep production running and not touring and not able to like go overseas. We lost a lot of money, so had to get it back somehow. So a lot of like talent, staff just got let go. So something happened there. She was on the list. My girlfriend at the time, she was on the list. She got let go. So everybody's like, we're on a connecting flight too. So everybody's getting off the plane, getting right on the phone, calling my girl. I'm like, yo, oh my God. It's like, yeah, I know. It's fine. It's cool. They're calling Brianna. Yo, what's going on? Oh my God. She's like, it's cool. Don't worry about it. Everybody's trying to be like as positive as possible. Then we meet with Vince or whatever. Apparently, one of the members of the group was just like, man, like they complained at the office because he was calling, asking for a flight. What's going on? And they're like, we can't like disclose that information to you. He's like, what? And he started getting aggressive on the phone apparently at Titan Towers. So they're saying like, so we're meeting with Vince. We have to talk to Vince about this because he was apparently upset with it. He was like, first off, that's none of your business. You're a talent. You do this. You worry about what you do. Don't worry about anybody else, even if it's in your group. You worry about what you do. That's how we do here. That's a respect thing. And we're just like sitting there like in the hallway of this arena, like Bruce Pritchard behind him, Laurinaitis behind him, and Vince is right here. And they're just sitting there like standing like puppy dogs, just like watching Vince just bark at us. And I was just like, wow. So he's like, and so I think that heat got on us right there. And he's just like, but like, he's like, nobody just asked for a meeting with me. There's people that worked for me 15 years that's never had a meeting with me. And I don't know who some of them are. I'm like, you still employ these people for 15 years? That's what I'm thinking in my head. And I was like, oh, cool. I feel honored now. So I'm like talking to Vince. And so we got the little bit of scolding, but like it was just the one member of the group that made that call. And like that apparently who he was talking to in the office complained about he was aggressive on the phone or whatever. Who's to say how that conversation actually went? Probably a recorded phone call on that bitch somewhere. I don't know. But it's real quick how Vince like was talking about that, and then he like switched to like, but we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight, guys. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We got some good stuff for you coming up. I was like, okay, cool. We did a segment with Sami Zayn on SmackDown. They came to the back, shook Vince's hand, like, it was great. You got to smile. Make sure you put that smile on out there or whatever. I'm like, cool. Go to the back locker room. We were like, okay, I think that went well. And then Sami Zayn comes back. He's like, apparently Vince didn't like it. Vince hated it.
Wow.
We're like, well, we just saw him like 5 minutes ago. He's like, yeah, apparently he just didn't like it. I'm like, okay. Next thing you know, one of the group members gets appendicitis. He can't wrestle. So now it's just left me and the big guy to have these tag matches. Apparently he upset somebody in the back somewhere, somehow. I remember that I'll never forget to this day. It was like before the show, rehearsal and everything. We go over the segment. I come through the back and Bruce Pritchard just sitting by himself in the gorilla position. And he's just like, hey, Swerve. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're the veteran of this group, right? You've been doing this the longest. You have the most experience. I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, all right, take control. I was like, oh, okay. 2 weeks later, we all get let go. Mm. That was the last time. So, and then like all these reports coming out about what happened, what possibly happened. And there was like speculative major heat on one individual that caused everybody to get like released and all that, which might have been true. And then I'm hearing from talents like I'm close with, they're like, yeah, it was him. Yeah, it was him. And so I'm like, damn. And then 90 days till I can do anything and get like a new job.
Okay, so now you're off WWE. You hit the indie circuit a little bit, but then you sign a deal with AEW.
Yes.
How big was AEW at that point?
2022 is when I actually debuted. I in 2021 is when I got let go, and it was like AEW was like hot on the heels of WWE, and especially coming out of COVID, really is where like the Bloodline Roman Reigns storyline started taking off because they were able to tour again and stuff, and I was around and like going to SmackDown TV while in the Thunderdome era, while Roman was really starting to get hot. I was actually talking to Roman, and he was like giving me good advice and like how to like be perceived in the ring and stuff. He gave me great game on that. So shout out to Joe for that. I had a good relationship with him and Jay Uso. I was watching Jay get these promos down before walking in the back and stuff. I was like, oh, he's about to cook something. And sure enough, that's what started the Bloodline, and it just took off from there. So AEW was hot on the heels of that. And so we just acquired Punk at the time. Roman Reigns and the Bloodline storyline starts taking off. And so that's where like we're seeing this momentum shift of like the industry. It was like kind of rocking back and forth for a while. But like everybody felt that momentum. It was hot. So as soon as I got let go and the news got out, my name was on the list of like releases from WWE. Tony Khan texted my cousin Will Washington. He was like, hey, what's this, like, does he have a 90-day clause or a 30-day clause? So apparently I was on the list to get signed from AEW before I got the email from Triple H to go to WWE. And Tony he said he always felt like he just missed me. He's like, that was one of the ones I wanted. And I was like, oh man, that's crazy. So, but I'm still glad I went to the WWE instead of going to AEW first. Like, I don't know why, but I always felt like, no, I was meant to do this. I was meant to go through that little like tread of momentum in my wrestling career to end up in AEW, because now people appreciate and understand what I went through over there. So my story is just like a little bit more grit to it coming into AEW. I meet with Tony Khan, have a conversation with him at his hotel. We gel great. This is like the most talking I've ever did to a future boss or a current boss I've ever had was with Tony. And I was like, man, I feel good about this. I don't know why. I just felt better. It felt like Tony has that passion still of pro wrestling in him. And like that's somebody you kind of want to work for. That's someone you want to perform for because he's truly a fan of what we do. And I love that. And that's where March of 2022 is when I signed and debuted at Revolution.
Right. And well, you changed your name to Swerve Strickland.
Yep, I went back to that. Yep.
I mean, did that confuse fans at all, like having these different names? I mean, they're similar, but they're different.
It was more confusing of like the Killshot part when I was in Lucha Underground.
Okay.
Because a lot of people still to this day are still learning that was me.
That was you, right?
Yeah, because it was like a mask and everything. But keeping Swerve was really kind of what helped that. Some people didn't know I started in NXT. So there's fans like I'm still gaining new fans that didn't even know about my NXT run. Which is like, I think that's still cool. I think that's dope. That's the beauty of like what wrestling can do every single day. That's why I say every chance is a chance to get a new fan. John Cena told me that to my face. Every chance is a chance to like, you get one fan at a time. That's how you get to that. Every week, every promo, one fan at a time. You get one, that person tells another fan, and then that person tells another fan, and that tells their kid, that buys a shirt, that buys this, that does this, and then it just spreads like wildfire. So it's like, as long as I keep Swerve, I can always profit from that.
Do you think that the song made the biggest difference right around that time?
I feel like everything did. I feel like the song, Prince Nana.
Yeah, doing the dance.
Yeah, but all that is great, but at the end of the day, I still have to perform in the ring.
Right. And, I've been bumping the song like all morning. The swerve, swerve when I drive. Like, it's catchy. And we were talking about this before the interview. There's a few different versions of it, but the slow down version was the one that really hit.
Yeah. That was my call on that one.
When I was listening to it, from a DJ, set of ears, I'm like, okay, the one that's a little bit faster, that one it's not quite in the pocket the same way the slow one is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see how the slow one really connected. That became, you look at Spotify, that's the biggest song you have.
Yeah. That was produced by Prophet, written by Flash Garments. On the first one, the sped up one, that one was the one that Prophet was actually reserving that for Rihanna to pitch to her and her team.
Okay.
And then eventually get to her, and he was just like, I think this works for you. And during that 90 days, I came out to LA. And I was introduced to him, my man Hector, and all that stuff. Right. And then just like, we just made this song at like 3, 4 in the morning.
Hey man, listen, Rihanna's sloppy seconds are nothing to be ashamed of. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of ways you can go with that.
Right.
But I'm not going to do that industry shit that you be doing. I'm not going to do that.
I'll say it. I'll be the one that says it.
Yeah. I'll let Vlad get in trouble for that.
That's right. I'll get in trouble for that.
Shout out Rihanna, shout out ASAP.
Okay.
But like, it was like, that was my call to like, let's add some guitars in this. Slow it down, slow the BPMs down, add the arena effects, make that guitar riff and everything. And Nana was a big Pop Smoke fan, so he just started doing like this.
Oh, that was a Pop Smoke dance?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where it came from.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, now that I think about it, that is kind of the Pop Smoke.
Yeah.
All right, got it.
So he's a fan of that, and so that's where he just added his swagger to it. And like you can see like every entrance week by week, you see Nana like grooving, and then you see him like. And then he starts. Then one day, I think it was like Grand Slam in New York. It was the one where fucking I come like there's a match going on, and then I come out in the middle of it, and my music hits, and Nana stops, and the crowd looks at him, and they were like, "Do it," and he just jumps big, starts doing it, and the whole crowd starts waving. I was like, and that's where it's like, now it took off, and then it started being a challenge, and everybody started doing it. It was crazy.
Okay, and then. The All-In event in the UK.
Yeah.
At Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
80,000 people?
80,000. Which one are you talking about? Because we did All-In twice. Are we talking about me and Sting and Darby and Christian? Or are we talking about Bryan Danielson?
I think I'm talking about the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the third most attended wrestling event ever.
All time.
Wait, what was it like to wrestle in front of 80,000 people and you're in London? Like to pull 80,000 in a country where wrestling didn't even really originate from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're overseas with this.
Yeah. Like there wasn't wrestling in that arena since like Bret Hart and British Bulldog SummerSlam. That was the last time they had an event there. So just like that large gap of like 30 years to go back for non-WWE product to do that was unheard of. It was like, I remember when I'll never forget, we were like in TV and the promotion for it popped up on the big screen and Tony Khan and everything, they announced like, we're doing All In Wembley Stadium in London. People were like, that's 100,000 seats. there's no way y'all gonna do that. Next thing you know, we're here seeing, like, a week later, 30,000 seats sold. Like 3 weeks later, 40,000 seats sold. Like, and we still had like 6 months to go. And it was just like seeing like the numbers just like rack up. We're like, yo, we're gonna fucking do this. This is crazy. Not let alone I'm building this story with myself and like AR Fox, again, bringing AR Fox back into the history of this thing. We're bringing AR Fox back into this, and against Darby Allin, who's like someone like I helped bring up and from the Seattle area, and Sting. That's what we're building up to get to like All In Wembley. And Sting is like, I've never wrestled in front of anything like this, and this man has like beat Hulk Hogan for championships. This man has beaten like, you name it, like fought the NWO, you know, like fought Nash Hall, like you name them. Like Sting is based on Flair, all that, Dusty, and this is something, even accolade that he has not been able to do yet. So it's like everybody was feeling so good about like this moment. That was crazy. So we're like building up to it. Like when you're walking out, you don't even see people anymore. You just see like a galaxy of shit. You're just seeing lights. And it was so dope to do it at nighttime because everything, like, it just creates a different atmosphere than compared to the day. You know, the daytime is like dope, but like, you just see, it feels like the lights are on in the building. You just see everything. It feels like Walmart. Walking in, like, I see everything too much. But when you dim them lights, it creates an atmosphere. It changes the tone of the matches. Sting's entrance, seeing like Metallica, Seek and Destroy, and seeing like the lightning bolts come around. Like you seeing all the show, the drone cameras. It feels different, man. So that was like a memorable night to do that.
Well, you and Hangman, Adam Page, you guys had a serious rivalry.
Yeah.
Which culminated in the Texas Death Match. So Hangman actually burns down your home?
So this is like a whole year. Shit. So, at the end of All In, I get put into a coffin by Sting and carried out, whatever. Right. And I missed like a week. And so my return back, I was like, I need to make that loss mean something. You know, like Sting, legendary Sting, put me in a coffin. That's a big deal. I don't want to just come back as like, hey, Swerve Strickland's back at TV. I wanted to be like, no, something changed about me because Sting did this to me. I always like to, like, once again, like tethering the stories together. Like people like in wrestling sometimes are like, they're really odd about losing, because like losing in a match can like means everything. That's like something that they hold on to so dear, you know, like that can like kill your momentum and change your whole trajectory of your career sometimes. So a lot of like guys hold on to losses way too long and then they get stale. Me, I was always like, oh, if I lose, I can make a story out of that. I can take a loss and like generate something new. That's a chance to like pivot a character or evolve it.
But I mean, these wins and losses aren't up to you.
That's even funnier, right?
It's up to the writers.
That's what makes it
right?
funnier.
It's up to the boss who decides which way he wants to go.
Well, look at Hogan. He was like went in for like 6-7 years. He just like a lot of guys are like really self-conscious and insecure about like, well, if I lose, all this goes away. Like or like if I lose, or they're overprotective of their spots. Because at that time it was a little different too, because like winning and losing, like people truly believed at that time, like the fans and everything. So winning and losing was your whole reputation. So a lot of people held on to losses way more. Like people would fight in matches to keep their losses from happening. They do go behind the talent and the bookers and do a lot of like stuff to like change outcomes and things like that to just maintain their status, you know?
Okay.
But yeah, with that, like Sting put me in a coffin, and I was like, I knew Hangman was the next trajectory I was going to, and I was like, I need to make this loss change how I approach Hangman now. So I came in hair braided, it was a different look, came in eyes blacked, grill in my mouth. It was like, something's off about him, something's different. And I came at Hangman because I always like to have that chip on my shoulder type of thing about my persona. And I was like, Hangman you gotten lazy and you gotten complacent, and you've been accepting like these battle royal like pre-show matches. You're supposed to be the face of this company. You helped start this place. You're a former AEW world champion. Why are you settling with this? And I'm like dressing them down like you don't even have new gear. You haven't got new gear in a year. You don't have new merch on the website. You're gotten out of shape. You're just like you're jumping in with trios with the Young Bucks so you can like be comfortable taking a back seat while they ride and stuff like that. They drive the car. Like, what is happening to you? You know, if I had the opportunity that you had 2 years ago, if I would have gotten to this place before you, I'd be the first black AEW world champion. And the whole crowd just goes, oh, whoa. It was almost like taboo. Like, you're saying the quiet part out loud. And I'm like, good. Okay. I was like, I can hear them. I'm like, I hear the gasp. And then I hear the pitter patter talking between fans. And I let that pause and I let that sit for a while. But then it comes back with applaud. Actually, yeah, he's right. So that justified how I'm going to approach Hangman. And that's where everything kicked off. I was like, I had to scratch and claw and like get put in a coffin to get here. You got handed this and you don't even want it anymore.
Well, the Texas Death Match with you and Hangman, how many times did he hit you with a staple gun?
I would say I had like 12, 13 staples put into me at the time.
And didn't you staple yourself as well?
15 then, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You agreed to be stapled this many times?
Yeah.
Okay. And you've been getting stapled for years at this point? Or is this
I did
new?
it one time back in MLW with Jimmy Havoc in like 2015. And I was like, yeah. It was literally the same exact spot. But I was just like, I haven't done that in a while. And I don't think I haven't seen anybody do anything with a staple gun. I pitched it in NXT and Sean was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was like, okay, it doesn't have to be a staple gun. It can be a regular stapler. What about that? Nope. Can't do it. I was like, okay. And now, like, I brought it back into that match because it was just like, that's where the feud escalated. I like intruded in his house and stuff, talked to his child in a crib. I was like, those actions kind of warrant somebody stapling you, if not more, with any type of gun. So like, and that's why I kind of accumulated to doing that, because I want something like so crazy. Like, imagine someone you knew, like at work, went into your house and talked to your child while your like wife is still home.
Right. Well, at one point your head got bust open, and then Hangman actually drank your blood.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys just went full retard on this one.
You go to the shows and stuff to like go see what you wouldn't do. Yeah. That's kind of the appeal of it. Like, we go to watch Fast and Furious knowing damn well we can't drive a car off a ledge of a cliff. We go to like watch horror movies because we know we couldn't be in those positions to do that kind of stuff. That's the same thing. We go to like a wrestling show. It's like you kind of want to be wild. You don't want to be like, same old cliche. It's like, it's a good time, but you didn't feel like you saw anything that like everybody in the world is talking about. That FOMO feel. Like, you didn't feel like you're missing out on something. I wanted to make. Hangman had the same type of mentality. It's just like, we wanted to make something that's like, you had to be there, and if you weren't, God, you should feel bad. And now I feel like that pay-per-view like had the most rebuys because of all the talk and all the just scattered conversation about how far did we take it too far. It was the same conversation we had with me and Fox when we took it too far in Lucha Underground. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is a way bigger stage at the Kia Forum Arena. Oh yeah, I'm gonna show my ass off with this shit. So and when you have someone in the ring that just wants to do they have the same mindset. They want to change wrestling. That's what AEW was built here for. All the guys with this mindset that was like we can go with the conventional way that's been done for 50, 60 years now. And we can all fall in line, be a part of a machine, and we never generate anything back to us, which I did. I was a part of it, and I didn't generate anything back from it. I had to start a whole new. Or we can create something here on All Elite Wrestling that will allow us, and actually, if anything, encourage us to push things in a way that hasn't been done before, and change the landscape of things. Because like, it's almost like we feel pride from like Raging Against the Machine in a way.
Well, I feel like it's been done before, but just on the indie circuit, like the New Jacks and so forth. It's never really been done on that big of a stage.
And that's why, because it never reached that big of a stage.
Right.
It would there's no way that's allowed in a WWE.
Yeah.
AEW opened up that platform for people to see that. Celebrities were sitting front row. They weren't sitting front row watching New Jack do all that stuff.
Right.
And slice people up and slice himself up. But now it's like Stephen Amell is over here. Ken Jeong is over here. Like Rick Rubin is in this show.
Wow.
Watching us. Like people are showing up. You know what I mean? And like directors and producers of like Hollywood films are all showing up and watching this. That is the time to do that. To get them to talk. Too much. I had to do an interview with TMZ 2 days later because they picked up on like, oh my God, we've never seen this, let alone an African-American dude doing this. Like, you don't see that. It's not a part of our culture, you know? I'm kind of like a renaissance of like changing the culture, just like New Jack was in like the territory in the Mid-South and like Smoky Mountain doing that stuff, saying the stuff that he was saying at those times. It's like, you wouldn't dare push the envelope like that. But like, imagine like a New Jack in the AEW in his prime. It's like, that's right there, you know? So Texas Death is like, that's literally what changed the trajectory of my career in AEW, and that's where it's like, okay, this is undeniable. He's up there now. We can't pull back with Swerve.
Tell me about the phone call you got where they announced that in the next big match, you're about to be the first AEW black male world champion.
Oh man, it was a discussion amongst the office for a while, and it was once again it was that time of like you couldn't deny it anymore. Nana was over. Like Nana, the manager, was more over than a lot of the talent, and the song was generating millions at that point. Both of them, the regular and the remix. So the music video was like getting like 500,000 views. Like Bun B, West Side Gun are attaching to it. Freaking DJ Who Kid. Like, so now these bigger name artists are attaching to this. The movement was happening. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, Tony didn't want to like, he didn't want the like cat out of the bag so quickly. So he's like, we're going to throw a surprise pay-per-view in St. Louis in April. Like, what's that? Like, we're going to call it Dynasty. Everybody's like, oh, okay. It was like a slow little process of it. Like, we're going to call it Dynasty. Like, we never had a pay-per-view called Dynasty before. Well, because it's for Swerve. And it was like, oh, shit. And people were starting to really put two and two together. And then it was like, it was before he even got to Tony, it was like the producers was like, oh, yeah, the Swerve pay-per-view, the Swerve show. I was like, why y'all keep calling it the Swerve show? And then finally it was Tony who was like, this is where we're going to do it. We're going to do a Dynasty. We want this and we want everything to be built up for this. And then Samoa Joe's like, yeah, dude, like, this is it. This is your moment. I'm like, wow. And I'll never forget, like, all the friends, family that flew out to be there and surprise me, which is, I'll get to that in a second. The match happens. Actually, the finish of the match was like, I was supposed to double stomp Joe off the top, but I slipped and missed, and I overshot him, and I just landed, and Joe's still up there. I was like, I can still fix this. So Joe just stayed there, and I was like, then the whole match I didn't pick up Joe. So I had to get under 350-pound Samoan Joe, hold him for a power bomb, and walk him out. I was like, you good? Yup. I just drop a power bomb. Regular Swerve stop, and I go right back up, and I just shoot right back up to the top. And I just hold it, and I see everybody stand up. I see everybody start standing with me. And I was just like, oh my God, this is power. This is powerful. And I just hold my head for like a quick second. I'm like, this is going to happen. This has to be the greatest maneuver I've ever done in my life. I just jump up, stomp, boom, 1, 2, 3. We make history in St. Louis, which is crazy because like St. Louis Rams, I grew up a Rams fan. So I was like, it's so crazy that this happens in St. Louis. Celebration happens. I go right to the confetti falls, go right to the people on my side that showed up, front row, came out there. I'm like holding the belt, pyro's going off. Nana's with me. Nana's career was supposed to be over like 10 years ago. And then he gets a resurgence back in AEW. That's why like AEW feels like the place where like you resurge. Like, oh man, we haven't heard about so-and-so. Come back to AEW, bow, like powerhouse. Christian. Well, Christian was like falling off. They let him go. Well, what is he going to do at 49, 50 years old? Comes back, man, best villain in wrestling. You know, myself, Bryan Danielson, like Copeland, like Ricochet now. Like, is this the place of like that? Like, you can resurge and become something new. And I'm like this, and I feel like I'm so important to the history of AEW now, not just because of the Black World Champion thing. I'm a testament to like, you never count anyone out. There's always a chance to come back and truly rebuild and revitalize something. And like, just because you're not worth something to somebody else, that doesn't create your value. You create that.
Well, Mark Henry, who I interviewed actually.
Yes, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, he actually threatened to punch me in the stomach because I referred to wrestling as fake during the interview. By the way, does that ever bother you when people say wrestling is fake?
I understand it now more. I used to be like, yo, man, come on, what are you doing? Like, don't disrespect my craft and my art like that. But now it's like the other channels calling it fake, like right after the fucking show, like on like, oh, I'm like, okay, like the industry standard is like saying that. And I was like, but there's still a lot of like, you can't call it fake when you're like inspiring people to like do like you're telling stories and you're inspiring people. People cry at the end of matches. People like that changes people's life trajectories. Like, I want to do this. I want to do this. So there's nothing like not real about that. The only thing that's like people are paralyzed from doing this shit, man.
Oh yeah, I remember when I interviewed Ken Shamrock.
Yeah,
who was a UFC champion and a WWE champion, and he said flat out he hurt himself way worse in WWE.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not supposed to be purposely hurting people in WWE like you are in UFC. Yeah. But yet, he got way more hurt.
Yes. There's a reason why, like, even like Logan Paul is doing what he's doing now.
Oh yeah, he's always getting hurt. Yeah,
but he still takes big gaps between matches because doing it night in, night out, that takes years of really like training for that. To like prepare for one match every 3 months and still performing is great. The performance is great, but the art and the true professional wrestling is, okay, do that tomorrow night.
Yeah, every night.
In this city, 3 hours away. Now do that in this city. Now fly on across the coast and do that over in LA and stuff. That's the true art and the professional of it. That's a work rate right there. To still and never lose quality. That's what we have to go through all the time. So that's what like that's where it becomes like the true grit and grind of what we do. And that's the business of it.
Well, when you look at WWE, there's been 12 black world champions.
Yeah.
The Rock, Booker T, Kofi Kingston, Bobby Lashley, Big E. On the female side is Jacqueline, Jazz, Alicia Fox, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Bianca Belair.
Mm-hmm.
So you join this group of people, it's basically a very small group of people.
Yeah.
How did that feel to really be a world champion and to be the first black AEW world champion?
There's words that I can't describe it really. You always like, when you start whatever business or passion you're going for, you always want to find like, okay, what's my purpose going to be for it? I never knew that was going to be my purpose. Like life in my career trajectory just kind of pushed me towards that was going to be my purpose. And it's like, man, that's like, these are people I grew up watching. These are people I've like trained side by side in the ring with, shared cars with, and having my name etched in next to like Dwayne, Mark, Booker, who's still a great friend of mine, like, it's like now I still look up to them as a professional, like, and as a fan, I'm still look up to them. But like now professionally, like I look side to side with them in a way. And a lot of those guys, like, they weren't necessarily main eventing as those championships were being held either. There's always like a Brock Lesnar above, or there was always like a Goldberg or like something was above them. Like I'm actually main eventing with my title reign, which is very rare in itself right there. You know, it's not to take away credit from these like men and women, but it's like that sets me in an even smaller group of talent in that already small pool. You know, like the one big main eventers was Dwayne and The Rock. You know, The Rock and Mark maybe I don't know how many times, but they've all like shown that it was possible, and that was with the machine. I didn't have the machine to be able to do that. I had to actually like figure it out and create and like take risks and do something that's just so completely different. And like those guys already paved the way so many different ways. And like, I got to find a way for myself to like create a whole new lane that nobody has ever really done. And death matches, doing that shit, like as a black man, you're not seeing that on the mainstream. And that was like a niche that I carved out. I don't rely on it too much, but I set the bar so like that's where I can go.
Well, you said the WWE doesn't treat black wrestlers fair.
I don't think they market the value as fair.
Okay.
I don't think they market anybody's value as fair, really.
Well, your friend Booker T actually responded to you saying that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, look at the black talent in WWE right now, like Bianca Belair, Obafemi, The New Day. The New Day has won more tag team championships than anybody. Bianca Belair, she's headline at WrestleMania. Obafemi's a young guy out of college, you know, is doing big things at NXT. I'm just trying to figure out what he's talking about. So I'm just trying to figure out if it's something that's happened to him personally, as far as him not getting the push that he wanted in WWE. He felt like perhaps he should have been a bigger star in WWE. And the thing is, sometimes things just don't work out. I hate that we're still talking about this race thing as far as, you know, what WWE is doing with black folks. And I say that with all sincerity because I'm black. I've been working for the company for a long time, and I know I've been treated fair for the last 20 years.
That's not what happened when Vince said the N-word in front of you. That's not being treated fair. My opinion. And to that statement, it's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying what people are saying. I'm saying what your audience is saying. So it's not just me just talking out of my ass out of nowhere. It's what your audience has been complaining about for the better part of like 2-3 years from not seeing black talent getting single matches on PLEs and stuff like that. It's not. This is what I'm seeing on, because now those guys are like on socials more. They're hearing like they talk back and forth with the fans a little bit more. They see like so you can't ignore that anymore, you know. And then like since that quote, you're seeing like hearing quotes from Triple H saying like he doesn't see color in press conferences after someone actually calling them out at their press conferences saying that, why is there no African American talent? You put the black celebrities in the audience. Those black celebrities who I know, I'm pretty friends with, they want to see the same people that represent them perform at these shows, and they're not seeing that. It's not. I'm not saying anything like brutal or mean or disrespectful to the company. I'm just regurgitating what your fan base is telling you that you're not hearing and giving what they're giving. So it's not just me like, oh, woe is me, I'm bitter and this like that. I moved on and I got my money and I created my own value.
Okay, so the whole Vince McMahon N-word thing. Mm-hmm. So this was a promo with John Cena. Mm-hmm. And he's talking to John. He's like, keep it up, my N-word. And Booker T is right there when this is happening.
Yeah.
When you saw that, how did you personally feel?
As a kid, that was like that shock jock era of like, it was still like maybe 2005, but we're still like coming out of that and we're getting a little bit more PC. It was just like, come on, man. We're already getting dogged. And even participating in that is like, it hurts, and it's still being like every so often comes back every couple years, every couple months, and hits it makes its rounds, because that was 20 years ago and it's still affecting people. So you can't tell me that, that like you were treated fair like always. No, you weren't. Like, you can't say that. Why are we still talking about this? Because people are still feeling about it. That's why we still talk about it. Mm-hmm. It's not me just like, oh, I feel like this, I'm going to say it one day. I don't say anything randomly off the top of my head. I say what I see and what the people feel. That's where I'm like made my career off of doing this. And I've done pretty well with that. I've done pretty well with like seeing what people feel, and I grab onto that and I keep going with it. And that's honestly just like, I think it's just a very ignorant statement to just ignore it and not address those things or not do anything about it. I chose to address them and do something about it rather than just address it.
I mean, look, Vince McMahon is a very polarizing figure in wrestling.
More so now than ever.
Yeah. I mean, would you say that Vince McMahon is the biggest character in wrestling ever?
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of in the ring?
I say both.
In and out of the ring.
Now
yeah, actually, yeah, you're right.
Now more so both.
Yeah. I mean, you watched the documentary?
Hmm?
Which of that, in terms of the allegations, did you see any of that?
No, I wasn't there long enough to see any of that.
Yeah.
I was mainly in NXT, and I was like, maybe served like a month and a half, 2 months on that stuff, yeah.
I mean, I remember when I interviewed New Jack, he called Vince McMahon a piece of shit because he feels that all these people died, all these wrestlers died under his watch for, usually shooting steroids and, just trying to keep up with this crazy pace. And he feels, New Jack felt like Vince McMahon didn't have to answer for any of that. And remember, there was the Real Sports interview where they questioned him about that. And he knocked the papers, out of the guy's hand.
You didn't see too many interviews from him after that.
No, that was.
You didn't see too much
They were
more.
like, listen, let's keep you behind the scenes.
If anything,
out of the media.
it became his own people interviewing him.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
he
he's
kept
like,
it in
okay,
the
let me
house,
take care of this.
Yeah.
And then the documentary came, which he did an interview for. That ended up being even worse. I mean,
and then he was like, we're empty chair now. The rest of this interview.
Right. I mean, would you say, being in the WWE system, that a lot of these wrestlers are being driven to really risk their lives? And,
I
you
wouldn't
see
say
that
that
many
anymore.
people dying.
I wouldn't say that anymore.
But back then?
Oh, yeah. Like, I would say so.
What's different back then and now?
I can't speak on it, like, for me, because I wasn't performing back then. Like, now, I will speak on now. Now, there's way more care for mental health. There's way more care for families. Like, a lot more family oriented. They bring people in and out and do, like, they do get their vacation times, but, like, earned. Definitely, like, it's not just like, oh, I've been here 6 months. Oh, I got to take a break. It's not like that. There's definitely a lot of change in that. Only thing I would say is stays the same as, like, the political landscape and culture that was cultivated from all those years of doing that. It's not from broken bodies and families and, like, deaths and everything like that. I would say it's more just like the way the system of how a machine is generated and the way, like, the pyramid scheme of, like, there's that one talent up top and they stay up top. That's always going to be a thing. That's never going to change. Whether there's Vince there or Trips or Nick Khan or Dwayne, it doesn't matter. That's always going to be that same structure, and it's a culture that's embedded all the way through. So I wouldn't. Going back then, though, they're not on these guys aren't on the road, like, killing themselves, grinding. Like, they're not on the road 14, 21 days straight. They're not doing those anymore. I talk to Copeland all the time, and he remembers, like, man, I was like, I wouldn't buy a house because I wouldn't see it. I'd be paying for, like, a mortgage, like, X amount, like, thousands and thousands of dollars in property tax and all this shit, and I'm never seeing it. I'm on the road all the time. So I just rent an apartment in Tampa for the time being until I'm ready to move, and it's better to be in a better situation of where I want to go, and then you just save your money and stuff like that. And I would say the gates, the pay and gate and stuff has changed too. Like Stone Cold was, like, one of the biggest, like, ticket gate sellers of all time. And that's where he made his millions, just off of the gate. And that's why I was saying, like, people protecting their wins and losses so much, because at the time they were making money off the gate and the revenue on the pay-per-view. If you were headlining the pay-per-view, you made the percentage off the gate and all of that stuff. And then therefore your merch would be moved to the top and put in the right positions. A lot of guys would, like, find ways to politic to keep that, because that's where they made the most of their money. Now it's like salary based, like guaranteed pay and stuff. The main event changes and flips up and down. People don't like, you're seeing the World Championship open the show. Like, nobody cares about that anymore. Like, back in the day, that was a problem. That was a big problem. So that's why they do that. But like that's why I say the culture just shifted. It's just like, it's not the same anymore. That's why these guys don't have to kill themselves so much nowadays that they did then, because you had to kill yourself to maintain that, or else you weren't eating.
Well, ESPN gave you Breakthrough Wrestler of the Year last year, and then PWI did a 500 list for 2024, and you were number 2 behind Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Now, Cody was one of the founders of AEW.
Yeah.
But he wrestles for WWE. How does that work out?
It was just a contract thing. He let his contract run out, and he said in interviews himself he has his own reasons why it was like time to just get up and do something different and go back to WWE, which was a Vince call from him. Vince made that call. Actually, Vince actually flew to his house, which Vince doesn't leave the house for nobody, which goes to show you the power of what AEW is. It shows you more the power of AEW than it does for the power of WWE. Like, they can get talent whatever they want to, but for them to like come get our top guy, it meant something, you know? So it was a decision for him to go over there. I'm still friends with him. When that actually came out, I texted him. I was like, I missed you by 1. You son of a bitch. And he was like, he texted me back. He's like, honestly, dude, you should have been 1.
Okay.
And so we have like that's the competition we have between us. It's like a good one. I was like, oh, I wanted to beat you so bad. And he's like, yeah.
That's the thing about Vince. And like, as a business person, the biggest thing I took away from that documentary was how I've never seen anyone just totally focused on business and not ego like Vince McMahon. Like, you know, you talk about how Cody, you know, started a competing company and then he goes back to WWE.
Yeah.
You had people that sued Vince for sexual harassment.
Yeah.
And they settled, and then he brings them back. People sue him over money disputes. He pays them and then brings them back.
Because he has all the leverage.
Yeah, no, but it's just amazing how he just doesn't really hold grudges. If it makes sense for it to make money, he'll actually do it.
The ego's within himself, I feel.
Huh.
It's an internal ego. It's not an external one.
Interesting.
And just from, like I said, it's like a culture-driven thing. Like, he wants to see how much he can control. I think he likes the control of things.
Oh, so bring someone back who
he likes
beef
that
with them,
because he can.
Now he can control them again, even though they.
Now I'm responsible for your pay. Yeah. Now I'm responsible for what you do, and I can put you in my world now.
Well, yeah, I mean, the lawsuits sometimes become part of the storylines.
Yeah,
like when he brings people back,
because that's the madness of him.
Yeah.
If you watch wrestling a lot more closely, you'll notice a lot of like things are reflecting reality.
Right.
We're taking reality and just flipping it back on itself.
Sure.
And so you're like, wait, this is familiar. Where did I see this from? Like, just look at the news. Let's just look at the social media. Just look at something. Look at something like a pop culture event or historical event that's happened in the last couple months. It's usually like referenced, or it's like that's where the figure and the inspiration comes from, and they take it and flip it on itself. And that's where the story, the origin, and the crux of these things really turn into. And Vince was a madman when it came to that. Yeah. If anything, if he would have like gone further with certain stories, he would have.
Well, yeah, there was a storyline where he was supposed to get his daughter pregnant.
Yep. Because he probably read a news story about incest on the papers sometime.
Luckily never ran.
Yeah.
I mean, but there were actual plots where he's kissing other women in front of his wife and all types of stuff like that.
It's that internal ego.
Yeah.
Because he can do it.
In real life, he's having affairs that he's being sued for and stuff like that.
It's that. Yeah. After you make your first billion, you're bored. So you have a multi-billion-dollar generated company that you can just like live out your fantasies and flip it, and I could show the world. And what are you going to do about it? And you hide behind it's entertainment.
Well, yeah, I mean, because in 2023, Endeavor actually merged, UFC and WWE.
Genius move.
Like a $24 billion deal.
Genius move.
And Vince sold WWE for $9.3 billion.
Brilliant move.
Oof. These types of dollar amounts are just insane.
And that's the powerful thing of wrestling. Like, I think it's cool. It's crazy to see. It's just crazy to see. I wouldn't say it's cool. I would just say that's insane to see. But it was like, it's a brilliant move. It's like the most logical step too. And like, because UFC takes a lot of things from what pro wrestling does and vice versa.
Well, you end up getting your contract renewed at AEW. And it's considered one of the most lucrative deals in history.
Yes.
Can you say how much it was?
Nope.
Okay.
Got to speculate.
Speculate.
Figure out what my value is. Vlad.
Okay. Is it 8 figures, 9 figures, 7 figures?
It's up there.
It's up there.
It's up there. It's competing.
Okay. Now, leading up to that deal, WWE reached out to you?
They reached out to my attorney, because I don't really have too much direct contact when it comes to that discussion.
Okay.
But they questioned so when I signed the contract, there's a worked one and then there's a shoot one. I signed the worked one at Wembley right before me and Bryan Danielson main evented, and Tony decided to do it in the Queen's box at Wembley where the Queen watches the games and stuff. And he's like, this means something to me because it's one of the most proudest moments of my career, because him and his dad own the Fulham soccer team over there. And he was like, this is crazy because this is where we won our playoff game. And we were right here. I cried with my dad and stuff right here in this box watching this. And now you're the one signing this contract here. And so like, this means something to me, as I wanted it to mean something as big to you. So it was like, we filmed that, did that one. And then like they put that out there in social media and announced it on the pre-show of Wembley. And they were like, apparently I got a text from my representation. He was like, apparently they reached out and they were like, asked if that was a real re-signing. They're like, is that real? And then I think it was like a couple of days later, there's a report that went out that's saying like, oh, I was paid above market value to consider, like, because there was a couple of people that were on re-sign. They were supposed to be re-signed or like on a contract thing with AEW, and we all got re-signed, but they were like, oh, above market value. And I was like, well, who are you to decide the market?
Right. I mean, according to the internet, it's a 7-figure deal.
Internet likes me.
Yeah.
They're generous.
Well, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
How does it feel to go from doing $25 shows in Walmart parking lots and borrowing money for groceries to signing one of the biggest deals in wrestling?
Validated. There's still so much more work to do, in my opinion. Like, when we go back to that list of like me number 2 and Cody number 1, I think the more bigger story behind that is like I'm the highest ranked black wrestler in 20 years to be ranked that high since The Rock. Huh. So on that list, and it's like that's the list that goes back to the 70s.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm the highest ranked one, and that's a testament to like just like not cutting corners, not doing that political thing where like once again has the business has changed, like trying to hold on to a spot and not like spread the wealth around the locker room and the roster and stuff like that. Not trying to do that. I was always about like I feel like my biggest gift in wrestling that I learned that what generated that value to me, and I'll say it like 100%, is just like my ability to bring people up to another level, or bring something out of them that nobody ever seen they had. I feel like that's always been my biggest gift, even in like with like, I'd say music and doing things like that in sports. Like I've always been a really good team player. And one of the biggest things I learned, I was told by Paul White, who was the Big Show, when he was here in AEW. We were sitting at catering. It was like me, him, Billy Gunn, a lot of the older guys. And I was like, just listening to him, just whole court, like a small little like group at catering. And he was just like, one of the things that like why Cena is where he's at is because he's like the only person I've ever seen give Vince exactly what he wants. And that's why he always had that position. He was always at the world championship. He had 15, 16 title reigns now, possibly going for 17 now, because he always gave Vince what he wants. And he always came to the back after whatever he did. And Vince would always just be like he was like, everything good? Everything? He's like, yep. He'd give him the thumbs up, and they would have talks, and they would just keep going, and he would do it again the next week. He was the only guy he's ever seen, and like Big Show's been around for like 30 years, that gave Vince exactly what he wants. So I was like, and that always like stuck in my brain a little bit. So before every match and after every match or segment or promo I do, I go to Tony. I'm like, what are you looking for in this? What do you need? And I'm like, I can do my best to get you exactly what you need. And I come through the back and I'm like, everything fine? Anything else you need? What could have been better? What do you like? I'll do better next time. And it was the way of like, that's how I built my relationship and the trust with Tony, because Tony knew I wasn't looking out for myself anymore. He knew I was looking out for the best of the product, and he knew I was looking out for the best of like the safety of who I'm in the ring with or whatever. I wasn't trying to go into business for myself or screw over the next match or screw over another talent or like, he trusted me with a lot. So therefore I end up in return getting a lot. That's where the value and the price of the contract went up, because he knows he can trust me with that kind of money to not go out here and say bad things on social media when I'm pissed off or go on and shoot interviews. That's why he trusts me with you. You ask me questions about WWE. Yeah, I'll say what I want, but I'm going to be truthful. And you ask me questions about AEW. Like, yeah, I'm going to say what I want and be truthful, but he trusts me with that. There's not a lot of people he trusts in these rooms and these cameras to discuss like that.
Well, John Cena recently turned heel.
Big moment.
Yeah.
Big
First
moment.
time ever? Was he a heel like originally?
He came out as heel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And stuff, but like
since
that was
he became
2003.
a superstar.
Yeah, that was before the Cena train took off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you feel about that whole phenomenon?
I didn't watch it live. I saw it back on social media.
Right.
And you know how social media can like paint the picture of narrative of what it actually was. It was like, was it the biggest moment of all time, or was it the dumbest shit that ever happened because Travis Scott slapped the shit out of Cody Rhodes? So I'm like, I'm going to watch it just to get my opinion. And so I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in the middle. Like, great moment because you're getting two of the greatest like stars of all time mixed with like Cody, who's like one of the current greatest to like future great. And Travis Scott in the middle, like kind of just wavering and doing his thing. I actually was like on a golf course with Travis Scott maybe a couple months ago, and he was telling me how excited he was about getting into wrestling. He told me like he's training with Booker T down in Houston. He was telling me like with reality wrestling or whatever. He was telling me all this shit. He's like, yo, I'm trying to be like Jeff Hardy in this bitch. Yo, Swanton on these motherfuckers.
Well, right. I mean, he smacked up Cody.
I was like, that's not a Swanton. That's
yeah,
not what you were telling me he was going to do.
Eye?
Ruptured eardrum, black eye, all that. So you're seeing these two monumental figures in pro wrestling, these massive guys, and Travis Scott's the one that injured the world champion. So I'm like, this is the funniest shit. That's the irony to me. But I'm like, it's just comedy to me. I'm not making fun of it. It's just like, that's wild. Yep. That's just wild. And that's the takeaway. Like, there's a lot of wrestling fans that are pissed about it too. They're like, it's like such a great moment, but they're like, there's a lot that are like utterly pissed. They want Travis Scott's head. I'm like, if they're smart, they take advantage of that and they make money off of that.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you noticed about John Cena is that you can't see me hand gesture.
The Tony Ayo
actually came from Tony Ayo.
I watched that.
Yeah. And Tony Ayo came up with it because he had a warrant out for his arrest. So he was doing music videos trying not to show his face. So he just came up with this little, to try to just, not have the cops bust him.
The culture strikes again in wrestling. Exactly. There's so many like little cultural things in wrestling historically that like it just doesn't get its credit for enough. Like NWO when the bandanas forward was a Tupac thing. Mm-hmm. They bit from that. There's Public Enemy bites from a lot of things. Man, like Cena, the whole thing, it's just a hip hop bite. It's the culture's always been embedded in pro wrestling. Now they're trying to bring, like, I feel like me too. It's like, I want to showcase it in the most respectable way that doesn't make fun of it.
Well, didn't you say that you based some of your image on Playboy Cardi?
Yeah.
How so?
Because Playboy Cardi always has like the braids, and that's where the guitar came from. The idea, the concept. Because I went to Playboy Cardi at Rolling Loud when he was doing a set, and like, man, there's a lot of guitars riffing on everything, and squealing guitars. So I was like, let me put. That's what Big Pressure remix needs. It needs guitar, and I took that from the Playboy Cardi thing.
Okay.
And then the leather jackets, which I started going to Jeff Hamilton. I was like, Jeff, could you make me a leather?
Yeah, I'm interview Jeff. Yeah,
cool, great guy.
Yeah, great guy.
So I was like, could you make me a full leather jacket? He's like, I don't really make trench coats, but I can make one. Yeah. Now he's like, I got like 4 trench coats from Jeff.
Oh, nice.
Just because.
How much did he hit you for with each of those?
Like $3,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, he did Kobe's iconic jacket.
That's like 50, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Supreme one I wanted so bad, but he was like, yeah, that's like 25. I gotta hit you for 25. I'm like, you heard I got paid, didn't you?
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, shut up.
Well, I mean, once you got your check, what was the big purchase you made?
Taxes.
You owe some back taxes? Okay.
Not it wasn't too bad. It was like the three things I took care of: mortgage, taxes, and child support.
Okay.
Those are because I have everything I need. Okay. I'm good. But those 3 things are like the priorities, and and that's a testament to Tony Risha, my lawyer manager. He's like, here's what we're gonna set aside for do whatever you want. You want to travel the world, you want to go to fucking Barbados, with some whatever, do some bitches, do it. But this is the priority. You don't spend anything until these three things are knocked out. Okay. And I was like, that's fine. I can sit at home and play video games for a month or 2, and I'll get it all back. And that's essentially what I did. My house was already good, and my car was paid off. I had the same car for 3 years, and I'm not a sports car guy. Like I only buy things that I know I'm going to use for a couple times or a while, you know. And usually I take that and I put it on TV, or I take that and put it in a music video. Like, I'm not wearing that unless I'm wearing this on this stage, or I'm wearing this in this video, or I'm making an appearance on the red carpet wearing this. So that's where my mind goes to, like, what can I use multiple different things with this thing I purchased?
Well, yeah, you could even write it off then.
Exactly.
Like, if you buy something like a piece of clothing, and I do this in my own business also, it's like, okay, if I go buy this Louis Vuitton jacket, if I take a photo of it with someone I just interviewed, I can now write it off as a business expense.
Exactly.
It's being used in the business.
Right. So that's like my purchases right now. Yeah. Like, my recreational stuff is just video game shit, or trips to see my kids, or like gifts or something like that. And my gifts aren't like crazy high. Like, not that I can't get back or anything like that. But yeah, like I didn't have a first big purchase. I think I made my first big purchase like with my my first contract with AEW in 2022 was the house. Oh yeah. Yeah. When I bought my house flat out in cash, nothing like that. Nothing like it. No, actually, no, it wasn't the house, it was the car. I moved into a new house by that time. So the mortgage for this one covered, the money from this one covered that mortgage. But I just bought the car flat out, no payments, just mine. Well, hip hop has been, a strong force throughout your life. When you look at hip hop now, you look at someone like a Kanye West, who is posting pictures of Ku Klux Klan robes and saying outfit of the day, or wearing a T-shirt with a swastika on it. I was like, where was I at? The day that happened, I was like, I think I was like up the street from him. I'm like, do I need to Uber up just to see this? This is for myself. It was one of the moments like I don't feel as real. Oh, it's real. Yeah, it's crazy. He was actually selling them on his website. Yeah. I feel like once again, you made $1 billion. You're bored. It's an eternal ego. Huh. It's the same madness. It's like he's just doing it because he can, and he's waiting for somebody to do something about it, and he knows nobody can. So he's just going to keep pushing till like he's already upset black people. He's already upset white people. He's upset, but he's also empowering a lot of those, like what that imagery is. He's empowering it in a lot of ways. But I think it's just an internal ego to just showcase like you can't control me with what I'm supposed to do. It's it's that Rage Against the Machine mindset and that bucking the system a little bit. I'm noticing, which is honestly what hip hop was all about.
Yeah, but it's not empowering.
It's not
groups
empowering
that kill black people, like the Ku Klux Klan. How many black people has the Ku Klux Klan killed and terrorized along the way? You know, like I've interviewed.
There's a lot of gang violence that done the same thing, but in different ways, and those are empowered in certain ways. So it's like he's trying to break the matrix.
Look, I interviewed.
I'm opposed to all of it.
Listen,
but I can see the parallels, but there's a slight, big, huge difference to it too, and it's just something that's just like it's uncomfortable, and I think he gets the joy out of making things uncomfortable.
Look. In interviews with Dominique Wilkins and Todd Bridges.
I interviewed Dominique Wilkins too.
Both of them had crosses burned on their front yards.
Yeah.
Okay. In real life.
Yeah.
Not in a movie or a promo or whatever else.
Yep.
In real life, they had Ku Klux Klan type people, because that's a Klan thing to do, is to burn a cross on your front yard. This actually happened to people I talked to in real life.
That are still currently like a major part of our like society and culture. It's not that long ago.
Dominique Wilkins has a statue in Atlanta. Okay, so all I'm saying is,
it's
the
horrible.
Ku Klux Klan is still a thing.
Yeah,
you know, the swastika still means something. To a lot of people, and slavery is a choice, and I'm a racist, and you know,
like I said, I see what he's trying to do, but it's just it's the wrong message. It's dangerous. It's hurtful. We already have a very impressionable society as it is, overly impressionable. Like click of the button, you can see all of this stuff, and so like with the power that he has, it's dangerous and scary.
Oh yeah, and you know, to all the Kanye super fans out there that are going to follow his footsteps, keep in mind that Kanye actually has serious security around him when he walks around with these swastika shirts.
Don't let this let those cameras fool you.
Right.
Like don't let he's just walking around freely. I'm like, oh
no, he's not. No, he's got a bunch of people with guns protecting him. Okay?
Yep.
You walking down the street in a Ku Klux Klan outfit,
you will not get the same results.
You will not get the same result as
I promise
Kanye
you.
West.
No, and I'm like, and I'm pretty sure. I would love to. I wouldn't. Actually, I'll take that back. I don't love to see, but I'm curious to see the sales of these. I'm like, are people actually buying this stuff?
Well, they shut it down.
Oh, thank
Shopify
God.
actually shut down his whole account.
About to say, thank God.
Yeah, you can't sell that type of shit.
No,
man.
I'm like, are people actually buying this? That's like
he probably did sell some before they shut it down.
That's like dark web type shit.
Yeah.
You know, like that's not should be like Temu buy the. I'm like, no, like what are you doing? It's this wild. Yeah.
Well, I just want to leave it with this. You know, you actually referred to Stephen A. Smith when he talked about how you're not the American dream, you're an American story. How when you look at people like Jordan or LeBron, they're the American dream. They were born to be mega stars in their fields from birth, whereas you had to work and work and work and work and work and outwork everybody to get to this point, which I think makes it a lot more relatable to a lot of people. Because at the end of the day, Jordan and LeBron were born in these bodies that were especially designed for a certain type of sport, like a Michael Phelps with these giant arms and these giant hands and so forth, that just gave them a advantage over everyone else in this field. You weren't given, you know, you're athletic and so forth, but you're not like, you know, you don't have a natural advantage over everyone else in wrestling. You had to work to make those advantages.
Yeah.
And I think that's really something that a lot of people could relate to and admire about you.
That was like something that was just like, I felt like my character can sometimes on screen be a little like, man, this looks like such a, like so far removed from reality type figure of character. And I like that it has that, but at the same time, I can be very, very grounded and to the point where I can just speak to the people and people can understand and feel and be like, oh, I've been that guy too.
Yeah.
And so it's good to have both. I can tap into that and take it as far as I want to with like the death matches and staples. Like nobody can ever understand what that feels like. But at the same time, when it comes to me just talking and understanding, there has to be some type of understanding and get down to the ground roots of like who I am, what got me here. Oh, like I'm not that far removed from you sitting in that classroom, third row, like, and getting a C average in class. I was that kid too.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have the crazy advantages, and like I don't have a second, third generation like wrestler, family, father, mother,
right,
or like that. I didn't get indoctrinated into the business like from the lineage or the bloodline. I was like, I have a kid with an idea, and it started as an idea. Then that idea grew into like, oh, this could be a dream. Then the dream became the reality. Then the reality was just like everybody who quit in my line, in my class, or my like group of people, I took the step forward. So therefore, I just stood out, and then that gave me the bravery to keep taking steps forward. I was like, I'll do it. I'll fail maybe, but I'm going to step forward. I'm like, at least I'll become the name of like that's the kid that failed. And then I came back around. I'm like, I'm not going to fail again because I know what it felt like. I know what I did wrong. I got that gut punch. It hurt, but I'm still alive. And if that's the worst that you're going to do to me, I can do that again. So it just kept being that until I got confidence. That's why my social media handle is Swerve Confident, because that's where I truly built all this from. My confidence is what grew on top of my ability. My career didn't just come from like, this is the one. Like I said, I was never the first round draft pick. I'm more of like the Russell Wilson. I'm like fourth round, but give me the opportunity, put me on the field. I'm going to win you something, and I'm going to make history with it. Like one of the few black quarterbacks in Super Bowl to win championships, first black AEW world champion. Mm-hmm. You know, so I am that saying always resonated to me because he did another interview. I forget where it was. I study interviews and I take interview quotes and I put them in promos. I do a lot of shit with that. But that always stuck out to me as like, that's who I am. I always try to put a finger on a statement. I'm like, who am I? Who is Swerve? How would I describe myself or Stefan Strickland to you, to anybody that doesn't know me, trying to get to know me or just learn my story? What is your story? That statement stuck out to me. And that's like, yeah, that's who I am. That's what I did. That's what Swerve is all about.
That's what it is. Swerve Strickland, man. Truly a pleasure.
Thank you.
Truly a pleasure, man.
Hopefully
Very inspirational stories.
Or come back here with more stories, man. Yeah.
That's what it is. Till next time.
Yes, sir.
Peace.